I never know ukuthi ipassion ebenginayo ekukhuleni kwami nepassion engenze ukuthi ngiresign emaphoyiseni ngiqale inkampani Humble Security and Trading will take me ekubeni umsolo noba umuntu othukwa abantu asatshiswe kube khona an offence phansi kwegama lami. After that ngingakwazi ukuthi ngizimele ecourt kodwa kudingakale ukuthi I must contact or consult with abameli bathathe izinto bazise ko-advocate and then ngikhokhe imali eningi and uthola ukuthi zonke lezi zinto njengoba zifuna ukuthi kukhokhwe imali zifriziwe kufrizelwe ama-account wonke, business account yafrizwa, ama-personal account afrizwa. Uma sekufriziwe konke igama lami lifakwa ku-government gazette. Emva kalokho kumele ukuthi ngenze njani mina ngizipresente or ngipresente ubufakazi or ngipresente or ngizidefende against ama-allegations since kuthiwa I was doing a Ponzi scheme. So ngendlela ekwenzeka ngakhona into yakhona iyaconfuse noba ngizothi iyadida kakhulu ngoba angikwazi mina ukuthi I can go to court kodwa yonke into kumele yenziwe abameli. Abameli awenzi izinto mahhala, zenziwa ngemali. Umbuzo uthi ngizokwenza ngemali eyiphi imali efriziwe kanjani since ngiboshiwe inyawo ngaboshwa nezandla ngoba I was doing forex trading ngisebenzisa ama-account afriziwe. When I was withdrawing imali ingena kuphi kuma-account afriziwe and I had to change yonke into ukuze ngingenze njani ngithole imali ekubeni esefriziwe ama-account mangithi ngenza ama-withdrawals kuma-brokers imali ingena kulama-account afriziwe. Almost wonke ama-bank ase-South Africa afrizwa. I'm left with one bank okuwu-Nedbank nakhona engiyivule I think ngabo-August or September. So I've got this question yokuthi i-court izofika kanjani kwi-decision yokuthi indeed I've committed an offence kodwa ngingenawo amandla ukuthi mina I can present myself before the court. And then I've got abantu ngaphandle abangazi ukuthi kwenzakalani. I've got abantu abangithukayo, I've got abantu abangisabisayo, I've got abantu abakhalayo bathi ngadla imali zabo. Kodwa iqiniso lisekuthenini abantu abayazi indlela yokuthi kusetshenzwa kanjani when it comes to umthetho waseSouth Africa. There are a lot of things esingazazi ezenziwayo noba indlela ekubekwe ngayo okuwumthetho. So ngiyazibuza namanje ukuthi I wonder who will hear and understand my vision if ngingenako ukuthi ngizimele before the court or before abantu abaphethe umthetho. Excuse me. I wish if I can have someone who will listen to the side of my story and let the judges come up with a decision. Ngoba right now, the evidence ebekwe before the court is the evidence ebekwe with the affidavit yomuntu who was conducting the investigation under FSCA, and I strongly believe that evidence is not sufficient or is not enough because in affidavit kuthiwa I was doing a Ponzi scheme. So what is a Ponzi scheme? I don't know ukuthi in a Ponzi scheme, but ngicabangela ukuthi Ponzi scheme ilento ekuthiwa push. But mina, I was not doing a push. I was doing forex trading. I've got evidence ukuthi I was doing forex trading. I've got records with brokers that I was doing forex trading. I've got proof of withdrawals that I've been making imali from trading, and nginomlando with trading. So I so wish ukuthi I can have someone who will come to me kuzokwenza i-interview, then ngiproducer yonke into, ithathwe leyo nto leyo. Maybe ngabalekelela even those people okuthiwa bayan-investigator, because I don't know ukuthi ban-investigator eyiphi indlela bengenayo i-access kwizinto engizenzayo, bengenayo i-access to ama-records of ama-brokers engiwasebenzisayo, not only ama-brokers South Africa, but ama-brokers that I'm trading with our phesheya. I had a vision, and my vision turned to an offense. Before I decided to resign kwa-SAPS, there was something eyangipusha. Kodwa ke mangikuveze lokho ukuthi neBhayibheli liyasho lithi where there is no vision, people perish. And then mase lithi iBhayibheli futhi kwincwadi kaHabakuk, write down the vision, write it clear, plainly on clay tablets, so whoever reads it can run to tell others. Habakkuk 2, verse 2. So yini umbono? What is a vision? It's an ability to see, mental image of something, foresight, hallucination. To hallucinate is to see something that is not really there. So uma ukhuluma ngevision, you can see ukuthi ukhuluma umbono, into ongeke uze uyibone, kodwa into osuke ongeke uze uyibone ngamehlo enyama. So I can go deep when makuthiwa ngichaze about umbono or a vision. So there are many types of vision. However, if you have good vision, you must make sure that you bring that vision into existence. Because sometimes abona if ukuthiwa umuntu ubona imibono ngokwama-psychologist uzozwa kuthiwa umuntu uyagula, because leyo nto le ngeke ngayi-experience kwathiwa ngiyagula ngekhanda. I've got ama-records nje kuthiwa ngigula ngekhanda, ya kodwa ngingaguli ngekhanda. Uthola ukuthi bakubuza ukuthi yini abantu ama-psychologist nobodokotela bengqondo bathi yini ayikho yena mhlawumbe into oyibonayo, awubona ama-visions nani. Kodwa in Christianity, we believe that it is God who give people visions. Joel chapter 2 verse 28 lithi iBhayibheli, and it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Mesithi young men shall see visions. Kuningi akuchazayo lapha yana uJoel, kodwa mesithini young men shall see visions. Kuba khona imibono. Mina I always believe, and I strongly believe kuNkulunkulu. If I've got a vision, if you've got a good vision, ube ne plan, ube nombono, umbono wezinto ongenazo, umbono wezinto ofuna ukuzenza ezinhle nezizokwenza uguquko, i-turn around empilweni yakho, emphakathini nakwabanye abantu. That vision isuke ibe kuNkulunkulu, because uma uzalwa uNkulunkulu ukuzalele ukuthi kube khona something ozoyenza emhlabeni. That is why uthola ukuthi neBhayibheli lapha kwincwadi yabase-Efesu chapter 1 ithi makabonge uNkulunkulu owasibusisa ngezibusiso zonke zikamoya umhlaba ongakabi bikho kuKristu Jesu. Okusho ukuthi before even umuntu abe khona physically, but sasikade sikhona sikuNkulunkulu, sinoNkulunkulu, senza izinto noNkulunkulu emazulwini. So leyo nto leyo ngeke ngize ngene kakhulu kuyona ngobani ingaba i-debate kubantu abangakholelwa kakhulu kwi-Christianity, but into engizama ukuyiveza la ukuthi whatever thing enhle nezokwenza ushintsho emhlabeni, nezokwenza ushintsho kwabanye abantu, it's something engayenza umhlaba ongakabi bikho, it's something engayenza sisenoNkulunkulu, sikuNkulunkulu, umhlaba ungakabibikho. uNkulunkulu uzodala umhlaba, udala umhlaba eseyazi already ukuthi okay, ngizothatha uZolani ngimuse emhlabeni, uZolani uzovela ngalendlela kuzokwenzeka lokhu nalokhu nalokhu. Eventually uZolani uzohamba aye lapha enze lokhu nalokhu, and there will be people abazothola usizo through uZolani ngalokhu nalokhu nalokhu. Lento lifana nani? uJesu uma ezemhlabeni uzemhlabeni nje into yayikade iplaniwe before umhlaba ube khona. It was not a coincidence ukuthi uJesu aze emhlabeni. That's why uthola ukuthi noJohn mayeqala uthi ekuqaleni wayekhona ulizwi wayekuNkulunkulu, ulizwi nguNkulunkulu, konke kwavela ngaye. So ngeke ngingene kakhulu lapho ngoba uzobe ngazuthi ngizama ukuthi ngishumayeze abantu noba yini, but the fact is if sizohlala eBhayibhelini, eBhayibhelini and understand yonke into based to iBhayibheli, ngoba even nomthetho okuwona osilawulayo njengamanje, the source of umthetho usuka kuphi? Usuka khona eBhayibhelini. Zonke izinto ezikhona namhlanje ezenzakalayo, if you go back to the Bible uzothola ukuthi zazenzeka, but ke ezisikhathi siqhubeka siyaphambili izinto zenza njani? Ziyashintsha. So I was born to accomplish God's purpose. Ngifisa ukuthi ngiveze lento le, nginikeza abantu background about impilo yami. I was born in 1981, raised by a single parent who had to run away from her parents in Eastern Cape after she discovered that she was pregnant. Uma wami wasuka wabaleka Hilton College pregnant, wafika khona bengazi abantu ukuthi pregnant, and ngazalwa ngenyanga ye7. My date of birth 20 June 1981. So ngihlala noma wami iminyaka 11, and then in 1992 my mother took me to her parents, and at the age of 11 I grew up under the hands of my grandparents in Zazingen location, iseMatatiele, Eastern Cape. In my childhood stage I experienced two lifestyles. I stayed with my mother, started my education in an environment where we were taught and visited by white people starting from crèche to primary, because isikhasikade singaphansi kwani kwesikole private school Hilton College. It's a well-known private school Hilton College. So I had that privilege yokuthi ngithi mangizalwa ngizalelwe phansi to that environment. Sathi siqala esikolweni sifundiswa belungu. So please keep this in mind, for you will hear something later on ephathelana nalento engikhuluma ngayo ukuthi sasikade senza njani, sathi sikhula sifundiswa belungu. The second lifestyle was to raise by grandparents in rural areas and to resume with my education in rural areas. Kwaba khona ushintsho ngo-1992, because it's when I started to experience ukuthi hayibo ukuhlala emakhaya, yabona there is a difference between a rural and urban area. Ingane ihlale emakhaya kuma-rural areas ko-Eastern Cape ngeke uzoyifanise nengane ehlale kuma-urban areas, noba ingane exposed kuyindawo zabelungu. Kukhona umehluko omkhulu, even nangendlela ekhula ngayo, nangomqondo, nangendlela ecabanga ngayo, kuba khona umehluko. Into nje siyaziyo leyo clear ukuthi umuntu ohlala emakhaya, when it comes to izinto ezaziwayo ngokwempilo, if umcomparisha with someone ohlale kwendaweni zesilungu noba umuntu exposed entweni eziningi, kuba khona umehluko lapho. So the beginning of my career, Nancy, I've matriculated in 1999 eMusasibi khona Eastern Cape. Then after that I went back to Hilton College where I was born, with one intention yokuthi ngithole umsebenzi, because siyazi ukuthi Eastern Cape imisebenzi ayikho. I wanted to be a police officer, but I said to myself, since I do not have all requirements in order to apply under SAPS, I must start with security. So ngenza i-course ye-security, kodwa ngenza u-grade E phela ngenxa ukuthi ke angangingenayo imali yokwenza security. And mangiqeda esikoleni uma wami wayesengasekho, eseshonile since ashona ngo-1998, sengisele nogogo nomkhulu. So I did grade E in security. Unfortunately, I could not get any job. In 2001, I got a job as a cleaner under office valet service khona Hilton College. I was cleaning the roads and the rugby fields in that private school. Baningi abantu abangaziyo ngisebenza khona lapha e-Hilton College. I was using khona umshini okuthiwa i-blower, working there ngiklina umgwaqo, ngiklina even nama-rugby fields. In January 2004, I resigned in that job because of the vision that I had. And in October, I started to work at the Risk Club, which is within Hilton College premises, working with Mrs. Beveridge, who was my teacher at crash. Lo ade ngikhuluma ngaye mangithi mina sasikade sifikelwa abelungu bezosifundisa. And the person who assisted my mother okanye wasiza ukuthi ngithole i-birth certificate. Ngaleyo era leyo kwakungakabi o-1994 le ye-democracy, so kwakusengaphansi kwe-apartheid era, but uyena owayesiza uMrs. Beveridge ukuthi sithole ini ama-birth certificate. I still remember ukuthi sake sayixoxa futhi naye lonto sengimdala ezesho ukuthi uyena owayengisiza ukuthi ngithole i-birth certificate. Leyo nto sayikhuluma by the time sekuthiwa mina angiyena umuntu wase-Hilton College, but-ke asikho lapho. Yeah. In 2006, I joined Hilton SAPS as a reservist working during my off days. So in 2006, while I was working with Mrs. Beveridge at the Risk Club, during my off days, ngangisebenza ngivolunteer emaphoyiseni e-Hilton SAPS. So the first turnaround of my career, I've worked with Mrs. Beveridge from 2004, and then retire. But to retire, bese ngithole i-promotion ukuba i-bar manager and also a club assistant manager. And then kwangena another manager, Mr. Tiaden. So in 2009, I resigned at the Risk Club. Resigning kwami, I was having a vision to start my own business. But while I was working at the Risk Club, I had an opportunity to meet with well-known people, abantu abangi-inspire kakhulu. Khuluma about Baba Motsepe, ngiyakhumbula nje the other year esanda nje ukuthi athenge i-Sundowns. We had some conversation naye, uthola ukuthi excited, ngize ngizibuza ukuthi lo baba ngoba akanawo umlando webhola yini enze ukuthi aze athenge ilento i-football club. Kodwa ke ngafunda izinto eziningi kubona because umfana wakhe wayekade efunda kuphi, efunda khona lapha e-Hilton College. Umfana wakhe manje uyena lo oseyimanager yani, oseyimanager of i-club i-Sundowns. So in November 2009, I started my training in photography and video production with the help of Colin, the owner of InStyle Media Production. I still remember my first filming was the wedding of MEC, Mr. Sipho Hlomuka, was Smith lo, I think uka traditional nobanibani, kodwa MEC Sipho Hlomuka, Babu Hlomuka. Imino wayekade i-videorizer umshado wakhe, and it was my first filming sengiresignile e-Hilton College. So by that time I think wayeselapha ku-youth engakabo MC nje bese u-MC nje manje. It was 2009 or 2010 if I'm not mistaken, between 2009 December or early January 2010. So in 2011, I was enlisted to be a trainee at SAPS Academy, Ulundi, then ngaqala ukujoin amaphoyisa. Lokho kwenza ukuthi i-training yami ithathe 2 years, and then in 2013, I completed my training and I was stationed at Umsinga SAPS. So the second turnaround of my career, in 2014, I went to SAPS Academy to do a resolving of crime cause for yama investigating officers. Ngaqala ke ngazoba yini u-detective. Ngabuyela eMsinga ngaqhubeka with umsebenzi wokuba i-detective, and then June 2015 I received an email telling me about forex trading. And I decided to attend that email by creating my trading account with markets.com. That was the beginning of my career in forex trading. So ngaqala ukutrader without any knowledge, ngigamblisha, ngingamazi obhayi, ngingabazi usele ngivele ngivule nje ngibe nenhlanhla sometimes uthola ukuthi ngithola ku-green ngenza i-profit. So I decided ukuthi no, let me enroll because I can see ukuthi there is something ekhona la, and this thing was pushing me. And then before I enroll in 2016, ngiyakhumbula ukuthi I had an issue where I've made i-withdrawal kanti ngisebenzise uCapitec ungenayo Swift code, and my experience yaba yimbi because my first withdrawal azange ngithole ka 10,000 kwathiwani uCapitec engimsebenzisile to fund my account awunayo Swift code, lo funds I couldn't get them. So ngathi nokubalekile ukuthi whatever thing engenzayo phansi kwe-trading ngibe ne-knowledge and understanding. Then I enrolled 2016 with Show Academy to do online financial trading course, and then ngathola certificate. In November 2018, I was transferred to Umzimkhulu SAPS, and in March 2019, I resigned under SAPS. So I started my private company, Humble Security and Trading, Pty Ltd. So okuningi about Humble Security and Trading ukhona ke to my videos ku YouTube, and I've also have a launch video enginayo engangikhuluma about i-vision yami nokuthi ngiqale kanjani yonke lento le. So my vision for Humble. Before I talk about my vision, I like to go to the Bible and highlight some few important factors. So in the Bible, we've got the Old Testament and New Testament, and then igama Testament is a proof noba iwili. In Old Testament, we have a covenant of law, umthetho, and then in the New Testament, we have a covenant of grace, okumusa. uJesu ma efika emhlabeni in the New Testament okusho ukuthi will entsha, uthi do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. You know, by the time when I was starting Humble Forex and Trading, my intention was not maybe to commit an offense or to do anything engaphandle komthetho, but everything engangiyenza sure ukuthi I will follow noba ngizolandela umthetho. Yonke into engangiyenza ngangingenayo inhloso to commit any offense okanye to break the law. So okumele sikwazi sometimes ukuthi the new will is stronger than the old will. There are changes that you will see in the new will. Izinto ezazikade zenzeka kwi-Old Testament uma sekufika uJesu kuba khona ama-changes abakhona, ngoba uyachaza ukuthi okay, kwi-Old Testament kwakuthiwa kanje, ku-New Testament kwakuthiwa kanje. Lento ifana nani if kuthiwa umuntu ubhala iwili, uma isebhala iwili yesibili, iwili entsha iba stronger kakhulu kunewili endala, ngoba le wili entsha kuseyinama-changes, uthola ukuthi nezinto ezikhona ebezikade zingekho to the old will. So even in South Africa, we have similar scenario, the apartheid era and the democracy era. Ngicabanga ukuthi kwi-apartheid era abantu abamnyama babecindezelwe entweni eningi. So kwaba khona ushintsho, kwathiwa bakhona idemocracy. Kwi-democracy kwathiwa no, abantu bazokwazi ukuthi babe nezwi, babe namalungelo, babe nani. Kodwa ngendlela engibona ngayo namanje, it seems as if kusekhona ezinye izinto ezisibambayo. It seems as if thina sisacindezelekile kwezinye izinto, because if kukhona izinto ongeke ukwazi ukuzenza noba kukhona izinto ongena access kuzona, ngiye ngithi mina ingabe kwenzeka lo ngoba ngimnyama ngebala, ingabe kwenzeka lo ngoba kuthiwa ngeke umuntu omnyama akwazi ukuthi enze lokhu nalokhu. So lezo zinto lezo ziphinde zisilimaze, ngoba ube ukuthiwa I was a white person, maybe ngabe kukhona indlela ekwenziwe ngayo, ngabe kwaba khona amanye ama-approach mhlawumbe ayenziwayo, but just because I'm an ordinary person who's coming from nowhere and nesibongo sakho wakaphansi, they regard me ukuthi vele ngiphansi. So it's impossible that I can be able to achieve, or it's impossible that I can be able ukuthi ngilethe ushintsho noba ngenze uguquko eSouth Africa since ngivela from nowhere, because sometimes ezinye izinto ezisilimazayo ukuthi kuye kubheka ukuthi ubani yena lo, i-background yakhe ithini. So lezo zinto lezo I think kumele kube khona ama-changes abakhona. when it comes to government uma edila nabantu, when it comes to nezinto abazenzayo in order to ukuthi sibe equal okanye silingane njengabantu, ngoba namanje nginako lokho mina ukuthi even though kuthiwa siyalingana but asilingani ngoba there are things esingazazi ekumele ngabe siyazazi. Okay, what is law? Because yonke into njengamanje I can see ukuthi ngibanjwe yini umthetho. According to Collins Dictionary, law is a rule binding on a community system of such rules, informal policy, invariable sequence of events in nature, or general principle deduced from facts. So, uC Jobert in the 3rd edition of Applied Law for Police Officials, uthi, it is not easy to define precisely what the law is. Ngoba uHostian suggesta ukuthi law is a set of rules prescribed for human action by determinate authority. In a determinate authority, determinate authority is a person or an institution that has received the power to make rules. Ngamanye amazwi kunalabantu laba abanikezwe amandla ukuthi benze imithetho. But mina into engicela ukuthi laba abantu abanikezwe amandla to make rules kumele babuyele emphakathini, kumele bazi kubantu to the lower level, noba thina abantu sibukeka njengabantu abale phansi bakophansi, ukuthi sifundiswe sitshelwe ngomthetho ukuthi nazi izinto ezibekiwe, nazi indlela ekwenziwa ngazo, ngoba if singawazi umthetho sizoba senkingeni enkulu. A definition of the law. Kuthiwa it consists of body of rules or regulations facilitating and regulating human interaction. It orders society and gives state of being sure. The rules are applied or interpreted by institutions of the state. Uyabona ukuthi nje zonke izinto zenza abantu abalapha phezulu abafike badecide benze lokho mase bekuthatha bakulethile ebantwini. The law started in the era of Moses as per Exodus 20 and other books after that refers. So siyazi ukuthi umthetho waqala kuphi, waqala lapho uNkulunkulu wathini, wathi uMose makakhuphukele entabeni, mayekhuphukele entabeni wamnikeza imithetho elishumi, okuyimithetho ejwayelekile siyazi ukuthi ungabulali, ungenzi lokho, ungenzi lokho, ungenzi lokho. Kwaqala lapho, kwaqala ini umthetho. Okay, siya kuma source of the law as South Africa. When we talk about a source of the law, we are referring to two things. The origin, ukuthi usuka kuphi, and where one can read about uzoyithola kuphi. In South Africa, we have four sources of the law and are referred to as material. Sine common law. A common law arises far back in history from 10 Commandments in the Bible and kuma Roman Empire, njoba sakade zengikhulumile, njoba kuthiwa ungabulali. You know ukuthi makuthiwa ungabulali nobungebi. Ukubulala it's a common law, into yaziyo leyo. Ukutshontsha ungayebi, it's a common law, lonto leyo, into ejwayelekile. Umthetho waziyo, even your instinct. Akuyonto ongazoyifundiswe leyo kanjani. Uyazi kahle ukuthi by doing that uswenze umthetho. Kube khona statutory law, legislation arising from a parliament, imithetho ethola ukuthi yenziwa yini eparliament, njengoba kukhona lamaqembu ehlangene lapha, kukhona nama-portfolio, khona zonke lezo zinto, bathi mahlangene lapha they come up with legislation, kube khona imithetho abayisungulayo, kube khona ama-acts, kube khona ama-section abawabekayo. Then we've got the constitution ngifanisa neBhayibheli. The very important source. All other law must conform with its principle. I-constitution, onke imithetho ekhona eSouth Africa nabekhona ezweni kumele ifole ngaphansi kwani kwe-constitution, umthetho sisekelo. Then we've got a case law handed down by judges. They interpret legislation and apply the law. When a high court interprets the law in a certain way, the lower courts have to follow that approach in future. Ngamanye amazwi mangabe kuthiwa lapha bathatha decision e-high court, mangabe in future kuba khona i-scenario noba kuba khona i-case eyenzakalayo ecishe efana naleyo, uthola ukuthi baya-refer noma basho ukuthi okay, ecaleni likabani nobani i-court yenza ukuthi, ecaleni likabani i-state nobani inkantolo enkulu yasendaweni ukuthi yenza ethatha le decision, therefore nale case kumele yenze kanje. Uthola ukuthi la amanye kama-court angaphansi sekuzomele kenze njani, a-comply noba athathe leyo decision ngobani ala zilandela icourt enjani ephezulu. So sonke isikhathi kumele zonke izinto izinqumo ezithathwe kwi-court ephezulu, ama-court amancane enze njani alandele wona. Kodwa zonke lezo zinto lezo abantu ngeke baze bazazi, ngeke uze uzazi up until ube nolwazi ufunde noba ngalezi zinto lezi. So knowledge, source of law. Lezi zinto lezi uthola ukuthi uzithola kuphi? Academic textbooks, iy'ncwadi, ama-law journals, report court cases, ama-published statutes, no-government gazette. Izinto lezi uthola ukuthi ziba khona kuma-law library, ema-university, nasema-court, nakuma-website, nakuma-internet, naku-government gazette. Kube khona umbuzo-ke ukuthi umuntu ohlala emakhaya nomuntu ongafundile uzozazi kanjani lezi zinto lezi engenayo access kuzona? Uzozazi kanjani zonke le mithetho leyo uma kungekho bantu abazozanyana bazobachazela? Ingakho uthola kunaseBhayibhelini kuthiwa abantu bazophenduka kanjani bengazange bashunyayezwe. Ngamanye amazwi kumele kube khona abantu abazokhuluma ngalezi zinto lezi. Mabekhuluma ngalezi zinto abantu bazozazi. Ngeke uze uyazi into ongazange utshelwe ngayo, kungazange kube khona umuntu ozoza phambili azokutshela ngayo. Ngoba mangabe kuthiwa lezi zinto kuthiwa zikhona ezincwadini, if umuntu engakwazi ukufunda uzoyazi kanjani into engafundile? Makuthiwa zikhona kuma-internet, if umuntu engenayo access ku-internet uzoyazi kanjani? Makuthiwa no, ikhona endaweni ethile nesendaweni ethile, kukhona abantu abahlala emakhaya, abahlala kude le, abangazi lutho nangendlela ukuthi umthetho uhamba kanjani. Abantu bazi ngokubulala ukuthi okay umuntu icala ukubulala untshontsha yini, bagcine lapha. Ezinye izinto uthola ukuthi izinto abazazi. So izinto esizidingayo lezo ukuthi zenze njani, zidluliswe, kube khona indlela ugovernment ayenzayo ukuthi wonke umuntu ohlala eSouth Africa abe nolwazi, ngoba abanye abantu ngempela abazazi ezinye izinto. And njengoba abantu bengazazi izinto basalela emuva, baqhubeke-ke labo bazi izinto, and then lo muntu ongazi izinto uthola ukuthi manje usegcineza njani, useyi-victim. The law and sin, taken from the Bible. Romans ithini? Now we know that whatever the law says, it says to those who are under the law, so that every mouth may be silenced and the whole world held accountable to God. Ngeke ngisho-ke leyezulu. Masithi, what shall we say then? Is the law sinful? Certainly not. Nevertheless, I would not have known what sin was had it not been for the law. Ngamanye amazwi kuba umthetho ubungekho bengeke ngize ngazi ukuthi ngiyona, ngoba manje ngaba awukho kwakuba khona. By having umthetho, once wenza into ethe umthetho ungayenzi, leyo nto leyo sekuyini, sekukona. Mese kuba khona ini, kuba khona lento ekuthiwa i-omission. I-omission, failing to act, mangabe kufanele wenze njani u-act. Ngamanye amazwi uyona ngokuthi wenze, uyona futhi ngokuthi ungenzi. So yabona izinto eziningi abantu abangazazi. Lithi iBhayibheli, lack of knowledge destroys, kusho mina-ke lapho. Kodwa mase lithi iBhayibheli, my people are destroyed from lack of knowledge. Abantu bami babhujiswa ngokuswela ukwazi. In order to know about something, you need to have someone who know about that thing to tell or paint a picture in your mind about that thing. Yabona uma ungayazi into, ngeke uze uyazi up until kube khona someone ozokutshela ngayo nobufunde ngayo. Makuthiwa inja, ungakaze uyazi inja ukuthi into enjani, ungazange ufunde noba ungazange uboniswa nanepicture yayo, ngeke uze ube naso nesithombe sayo. Kodwa once wayazi, you will be able ukuthi umuntu mayethi inja, then in your mind you will have a picture of inja. Makuthiwa into ethile, if uyazile uyifundisiwe, then your mind izogijima ibe njani, ibone lonto lengamehlo engqondo. How can you punish a child who is unable to spell his or her name without sending him or her to school? Ungayipanisha kanjani ngempela ingane engakwazi ukubhala igama layo ongazange uyise esikolweni? Ngoba phela ngeke kuze vele kwenzeke imiracle nje umuntu avena abhale. Kumele umuntu enze njani? Afundiswe. Our government needs to have a better strategy to deliver or make the public to know about all laws of the country. We know about some of them after certain scenarios. If you do not have an access to social media or radio or television, you remain blank. If you do not know the law, some of those who know the law can misrepresent it to you with wrong intention. Yabona abantu abazi umthetho mabeyazi ukuthi awazi lutho, bayakwazi ukuthi bakukhohlise, bayakwazi ukuthi bakumanipulate noba benze noba yini ngoba bayazi ukuthi awuvela akazi lutho. Ngodwa uma unolwazi ngezinto ngeke umuntu enze noba yini ngoba uyazi ukuthi uyazi. Kodwa mangabe ungazi lutho, uyazi ukuthi hayi akazi lutho la, then ngizomkhohlisa ngithi uzothatha lento engishoyo then kube yiyona ngoba akazi lutho. Therefore kubalekile ukuthi sizazi izinto lezi. Other people are committing offenses because they lacking knowledge. Most people, they know nothing about an omission. You also commit an offense by not doing something. We need to know about all of those things. A definition of an offense. Ithi incwadi might define an offense. An offense may be defined as follows: unlawful and blameworthy conduct that is defined by law as a crime and for which punishment is prescribed. Makudefinwa ini i-offense noba icala. Ngamanye amazwi umthetho kumele wenze njani? Kumele leyo nto leyo ukuthi uyicala. Once kwathiwa iyicala and then kwaba khona izinto kuzona sekuyicala. There are 4 general elements of an offense. If one of these elements is missing, it is difficult to define or state the offense in dispute. These general elements are kunezinto ezo4 kumele zenze njani zihlanganisa ukuthi into iyicala ukuze kuthi umuntu ubulele kumele izinto zinjani zibe u4 ezivelayo. So sine legality. A legality, the conduct must be defined by law as a crime and therefore punishable. Ngamanye amazwi illegality funeka leyo nto leyo mayibhaliwe ukuthokazi ukuthi okay ibekiwe emthethweni ukuthi umuntu uma ubulale umuntu then kuyicala lokho ngoba kuzoba nani izoba negama. And then mase kuba khona iconduct isenzo. The accused voluntarily has to have committed or failed to commit an act of some sort. Kuthiwa ke umuntu kumele kube khona isenzo asenzile noba ukuthola ukuthi ufailile noba uhlulekile ukuthi enze ngendlela efanele ngabenze ngayo. Mase kuba khona i-unlawfulness. Masikhuluma nge-unlawfulness ungathembeki, the act was committed without any legal justification. Okusho ukuthi akukho ukuzilandulela. Ngeke uzusho ukuthi hayi no mina ubekade engidubula ngamdubula kuqala like self defense okanye hayi ubekade enza ukuthi ngabe sengenza ukuthi. So i-unlawfulness kumele ibe khona ukuze umuntu kuthiwani ulenzile icala. Mase siza kwini? Siza kwi-culpability. I-culpability sithini? Including a capacity ukuthi the accused must be blameworthy because he or she acted intentionally or negligently and with the necessary mental capacity to appreciate that his or her conduct was wrong. Okusho ukuthi umuntu ngalesikhathi make yenza lento le kumele kubonakala ukuthi emqondweni wakhe ubeyijabulela lento le lesenzo senzile, uyasithokozela noba uaware ukuthi ngenza njani, ngenza icala noba ngenza isono, uyakuthokozela. I-culpability ithatha ini ihlanganisa iveza nomqondo wakhe ukuthi ngabe umqondo wakhe ngalesikhathi yenza lonto leyo ubukweliphi izinga, ube aware yini ukuthi wenza lento le, ubeyibona yini lento. Ngoba sometimes if ukuthi umuntu ugula ngekhanda ngeke uze uthini i-culpability yakhe ibe aware ukuthi wenzani ucommit icala. That's why uthola ukuthi umuntu uma ecommit icala egula ngekhanda uzothathwa sesibhedlela kuyokwenza kwenziwa ama-examination kubonakala isimo somqondo wakhe ukuthi besikade sinjani. So izinto ezibhekwayo lezo abantu abaningi they do not know about those things. So badinga ukuthi benze njani bazazi ukuthi umthetho ubheka izinto eziwu4 ukuze umuntu enze njani ubonakala ukuthi ube guilty mayelana necala akasolwa kulona ukuthi ulenzile. So masiya ku-judgment na ku-conviction kubalekile ukuthi the prosecution proves the simultaneous existence of all ama-elements ani ecala oyi4 ukuthi ayavela ngalesikhathi umuntu oyenzani enza lelo cala. However, before the court proceedings there must be a complete investigation conducted by law enforcement agencies. Ngamanye amazwi before umuntu azagwetshwe kuba khona uphenyo lenzilwayo and uphenyo kumele lipheleliswe libe clean kucaca ukuthi hayi ngempela lo muntu lo ulenzile icala noma akalenzile. Ngamanye amazwi uma kwenziwa investigation akwenziwa investigation ngoba kuthiwa kufuna ukuthi kugwetshwe umuntu aboshwe nje kuvene aphonswe ejele, kodwa the purpose of investigation yenzelwa ukuthi kuvele ukuthi umuntu unalo icala noma akanalo yini icala. Kodwa manje inkinga esibhekana nayo, some other investigation officers start their investigation with conviction in mind. They judge the accused before they conduct their investigation. They allow their emotions to lead them and fail to obtain sufficient and inadmissible evidence before the court. Yabona uma uzoqala i-investigation uzothi umuntu hayi umbulelo bani, vele wena into oyibhekayo ubheka ukuthi umbulele, awu-collect izinto kufuneka uzihlanganise ngendlela ekuyiyona ukuze kucace ukuthi ngabe ulenzile ngempela yini icala. But usuqala-ke wena waba kwi-decision wathi umuntu uyenze njani, uyenzile into engazange ayenze ngobani, awenze umsebenzi ngendlela e-right. So izinto ezenzakalayo lezo kuthiwani uZolani was doing a Ponzi scheme. I was doing a Ponzi scheme kuphi while I'm doing the trading. Ngine source, I've got ama-records ukuthi I was doing the trading. Kuthiwa I was doing a Ponzi scheme. Yini Ponzi scheme? So izinto othola ukuthi izinto ezenzakalayo ukuthi umuntu wenza ukuthi. That's why uthola ukuthi before the court izojudge umuntu, abantu abenza uphenyo maba-collect yonke evidence bayibeke before the court. Akusho ukuthi maba-collect evidence ezogwebisa umuntu, mabayi-collect evidence mangabe kuvela ukuthi umuntu no, lo muntu innocent, nayo lo evidence mabayi-presente before the court ukuthi this person is innocent. Kodwa into abayenzayo, they do not want to present i-evidence ezoveza ukuthi umuntu innocent. They always want to present i-evidence ezonze njani, ezoveza i-conviction kuphela. So we've got a law of evidence, umthetho, when it comes to evidence. What is an evidence? Evidence, it consists of oral statement, written statement, documents, and objects that are produced and received in courts to prove or disprove ama-allegations. Ngamanye amazwi i-evidence iyona emkhiphayo umuntu, iyona enza njani, embophisayo umuntu. Kodwa into ehlezi yenziwa abantu akuthiwa bayaphenya, abafuna ukuyiveza i-evidence ekhulula umuntu. They always want to wenzani, to bind someone. Kanti manje when you do evidence, you must present evidence ezoveza, ezonikeza icourt ukuthi yenze njani, ikwazi ukuthi ifike kwi-decision with that case. So we've got defining the law of evidence. When we define the law of evidence, we need to determine ukuthi which evidence may be submitted. Eyiphi evidence ekumele submitwe court, how it should be submitted, kumele idluliswe kanjani, who may present or submit the evidence, ubani okumele enze njani adlulise lonto le. And then mase siba nama-types of evidence. Ama-types of evidence esiba nawo, sinama-types of evidence othola ukuthi we've got ama-documentary. Masikhuluma ngama-documentary sikhuluma ngezinto enjani eziphathekayo angithi. Uthola ukuthi masikhuluma ngelento ngezinto like amaphepha, uthola ukuthi lento bazoveza ama-document ukuthi okay nangu uZolani wenze ukuthi nokuthi. That is an evidence. Mase kuba khona ne-oral evidence. I-oral evidence uzothola ukuthi umuntu uzohamba yema phambili kanjani awofakaza ecourt ukuthi okay nabo ubufakazi enginabo. So other evidential material. So ezinye izinto ke esikhuluma ngazo evidential material izona lezi mangithi oral, documentary and real evidence are the most common forms of evidential material. Mase siba nama-witnesses, ofakazi, enye yenkinga ke lezo. So under witnesses sinani sine-compellability and incompetence. So kubalekile ukuthi umuntu ofakazi uthola ukuthi umuntu onza njani, onomqondo right, who is competent as a witness. And kwesinye isikhathi uyakhompelwa noba uyaphoqwa uwitness ukuthi enze njani azofakaza. But kwamanye ama-instances, an insane person, umuntu ogula ngekhanda, cannot be compelled to give evidence, and neither can a child who is too young to be competent to give an intelligent account of the facts and issue. Okuchaza ukuthi ingane encane ngeke uthole ukuthi kuthiwa izofakaza ngoba ingane mayisencane kakhulu kwesinye isikhathi ingane iye ingakwazi ukuthi idefine ukuthi lokhu ku right noba akukho right. Sometimes ngeke izikwazi even ukuthi ibeke izinto ngendlela ekuyizona ngobani umqondo wakhe usemncane. Then mase siba nama privilege. When we talk about ama-privilege, kunabantu uthola ukuthi kunezinto ongeke uze uzidalule ngenxa ye-privilege ethile. Mhlawumbe uthola ukuthi udokotela ungeke aze adalule izinto ngani ngomuntu amlaphayo. Same applies nonani nommeli. Uthola ukuthi ummeli, he or she will never discuss or disclose ama-contact of these conversation before a court of law or even discuss them in public. Izinto akanjani azikhuluma with i-client lakhe. So, and then masesiya lapha ku proof of facts. When you talk about proof of facts, sinezinto la sina facts and issues, sibe ne definition of proof, mase siba ne onus of proof, mase siba nani ne standard of proof. In a criminal case, all allegations that the prosecutor makes in the charge sheet yakhe initially in dispute angithi. In order to ensure a conviction, it is necessary for the prosecution to prove all the allegations in charge sheet except for those facts that have been formally admitted by accused noba ummeli wakhe. So sonke isikhathi uthola ukuthi kupreparwa in a charge sheet kuthiwa okay ubani wenze ukuthi nokuthi kubekwe before the court. So that is a facts in issue ukuthi okay nansi into esinayo. Then we've got in a definition of a proof. When you talk about the definition of proof, proof indicates that there are grounds for a ruling in terms of a fact in dispute. Proof is furnished by way of the evidential material described above. A fact is proven when there are sufficient grounds for the presiding officer to accept the existence of a such fact. A proof of a fact means that a court has received a probative material with regard to such a fact and has accepted such a fact as being the truth for purpose of the specific case. All the elements of the offence must be proven primarily by means of evidence before a person can be convicted. Njengoba nenibone ke ema-court ukuthi umshushisi uye asho athi my lord ubani kanje wenza ukuthi mayisekubeka before a court. Zonke lezo zinto lezo thola ukuthi kumele idefine and then kube khona yini ama-proof ukuthi naku akwenzile and then kulandeleke nezinye izinto. Mase siza ini i-honors of proof. The onus of proof in a criminal case, the onus of or a burden of proof rests on the state okanye umshushisi to prove all the facts in dispute. Umshushisi kumele mayekubeka akuveze ngempela ukuthi okay nazi izinto ubani azenzile. The rule is that the party who makes an allegation must prove that allegation. Mangabe kunensolo kumele ziprove lezo nsolo kunjani zibekwe phambi kwenkantolo ukuthi okay nazi. Therefore, allege in the charge sheet that an accused is guilty of a crime, the onus of proof rests on the state to prove all these facts in dispute. Kamanye amazwi umbuso kumele wenze njani uprove ngempela ukuthi hayi ngempela nangubani wenze ukuthi nokuthi base kulezi zinto lezi esizibekile. And then okugcina sibe nani ne-standard of proof. I-standard of proof, this is the measure used to determine whether a particular party has discharged its honors of proof. In other words, the court uses this standard to determine whether the evidence submitted by the party on whom the onus of proof rests has sufficient value to discharge this burden. This means that a state must prove all facts in dispute beyond reasonable doubt before a court ukuthi u-accuse u-guilty for i-offense. Kumele kungabikho ukungqingazela kube khona izinto ezisolisayo nobe ezingahlangani kahle hle. Kumele zonke izinto zibe izinto eziphathekayo and uthola ukuthi zi-beyond i-reasonable doubt ukuthi ubani indeed uyenzile into ewukuthi. So when we talk about law of evidence, ziningi izinto ezikhona, ziningi izinto ezibhekwayo. Ingakho uthola ukuthi kubalekile kwesinye isikhathi ama-cases athatha isikhathi ukuthi aze aphele, because uthola ukuthi i-court izosho ukuthi no, lokhu akuhlangani. Kumele ukuthi benze njalo umshushisi abuyele back axhumane with an IO okanye umuntu ophenya athi ayingeke lokhu akuhlangani, ngeke sesikwazi ukuthi silwene leli cala. Qhubeka uyofuna lokhu nalokhu nalokhu up until izinto zihlangane kahle, i-evidence ephathekayo nezokuyenza ukuthi ama-judges aqhamuke with a final decision. Kumele bonke ubufakazi wenze njani, buhlangane. There is a chain link, kumele kuhlangane njengeketanga ukuthi ngempela into ewukuthi ikona. But ngizoyigcizelela lento lena, to present an evidence to court, it doesn't mean ukuthi sonke isikhathi kumele kuthiwe umuntu guilty. Sometimes the evidence that presented in court kumele ikuveze ukuthi a person is innocent, if a innocent umuntu. So we've got our basic concepts in the law of evidence. Sine relevance, admissibility, and a weight of evidence. A person who investigates a criminal case or who testifies as a witness in court should present reliable and relevant evidence to the court in order for it to reach the correct decision based on the available facts before it. So in other words, if an investigating officer adheres to the rules, his or her evidence will be reliable. During the gathering of evidence, he or she must be able to determine whether evidence is likely to be reliable or whether it is likely to be no use because it is inadmissible, either or irrelevant. So izinto kumele sibheke la ukuthi kumele kubheke ukuthi ngabe ubufakazi umphenyi akulethayo ecourt ku-relevant yini, kuyamkeleka, and then nesisindo sabo lobo bufakazi bungakanani, ngoba izinto ezibhekayo lezo ezesindo ubufakazi ngabe bu-relevant mayelana nalelo cala and buyamkeleka yini, ngoba sometimes uthola ukuthi indlela abapresenta ngayo noba ababuthole ngayo ubufakazi abamkelekile. Ziningi izinto esingakhuluma ngazo kodwa ngeke sizibalule zonke kule nto engikhuluma ngayo la. Another basic concepts in the law of evidence is circumstantial evidence and direct evidence. When you talk about circumstantial and direct evidence, sikhuluma direct evidence is direct evidence is evidence about the observation of a fact in issue, whereas the circumstantial evidence is an evidence about the fact from which a court can draw an inference regarding a fact in issue. So izinto ezikanjalo nje. In conclusion, let's bona if kuthiwa abantu abaphenya amacala noba abantu njengabo kuphenya amaphoyisa, kuphenya o-FSCA, wonke lawo ama-law enforcement agencies armed with the above knowledge of the law of evidence, the law enforcement official can go to court with confidence that he or she will have a constructive influence on the outcome of a criminal trial. In such way, he or she will serve the community by actively contributing to enable the court to convict the guilty and acquit the innocent. However, we have investigating officers who are not assisting the court to decide, but who come to court with decision that the accused is guilty. They do not want to present evidence that will reveal the innocence of the accused person. Kamanye amazwi uthola ukuthi umuntu sometimes uyaboshwa azagwetshwe kanti ubufakazi obuthuliwe akubona ubufakazi okuyibona bunamanga, and njengoba bunamanga uthola ukuthi umuntu uyacindezelwa angabi nawo amandla ukuthi azikhulumele. Kube wesi-ke uthola ukuthi awunayo nemali yokukhokhela abameli abastrong. Ngokungabi nawo imali yokukhokhela abameli abastrong noba ngokungabi nayo i-voice to voice out your side of the story, you end up usugwetshiwe, kodwa ukuthola ukuthi ugwetshelwe into engekho. Not ukuthi ama-judge azobe ekucindezelile, but abantu abaqalile bahlanganisa ubufakazi nomuntu olethe i-complaint, uthola ukuthi bona bazokucindezela based kwizinto ezibhalwe phansi. Wena if you do not have anything ephathekayo, if you do not have a strong defense, uthola ukuthi you end up in jail. not ngoba ucommite i-offense, but because you do not have a strong support in your side to prove ukuthi you are innocent. Therefore, you end up in jail kodwa ungazange ulenze icala. So it's very painful. I so wish that I can have someone. I so wish that I can have people who will do a thoroughly investigation about the source of my income, about uhambo security and trading, about uZolani, about uhambo forex. Uthi ngempela uyakwazi ukutrade. Ingabe ngempela ubekade eyenza yini imali ku-trading? So I so wish ukuthi kungaba khona someone who will dig deep abone ukuthi ingabe ngempela uZolani usulwa nobonalo yini icala. Ngoba njengamanje I can't do anything. Ngiboshiwe ngingaphandle kodwa ngiboshiwe ngobani? Abantu bafuna imali zabo, ama-account afriziwe and nami angikwazi ukwenza lutho. So it's very painful. So if kukhona umuntu onamandla to do something, I think kungaba khona umehluko if lento le ingafikelela kubantu abanamandla, abanama-powers. Angisakhulumeli mina kuphela, but ngikhulumela abantu ba-South Africa bonke abangenalo ulwazi ngemthetho nezinto eziningi. Ziningi izinto ezidinga ukulungiswa within a country othola ukuthi ziyaleka. So we need those things ukuthi zilungiswe so that sizokwazi ukuthi sifile and sibuzwe ubumnandi bedemocracy. So right now it seems as if sisacindezelekile ngoba izinto eziningi asinazo. We do not have an access ku-information. We do not have power to voice out izinto esifuna ukuthi sizivoice out. We do not have power to stand by our own. Sizimele and siveze ukuthi simsulwa noma sinjani when it comes to i-court. Kumele kudlulwe via ama-advocates. Kumele sikhiphe imali, which means if ungenayo imali uzogwetshwa. Uma ungenayo imali yakho izothathwa yi-state njengoba khona imali ezibanjiwe ngenxa yokuthi mina I do not have enough support when it comes to i-case engibhekane nayo. I-state sogcina sesithathe imali ama-millions siwa-forfeit. Mase sikwenzile lokho abantu bazokwenza njani? Bazobulala uZolani, bambulala ukuthi wadle imali zabo noba kwadliwe imali zabo. Hayi ngoba ngangikade ngenza icala, ingoba abukho ubufakazi ophelele obukhombisa i-innocent yami, ingoba I do not have a strong or support epheleleyo ezobonisa ukuthi indeed I do not committed any offense. So we end up dying, we end up committing ama-suicide, we end up killed by people ngenxa yezinto ezenzekalayo nangenxa yemthetho uthola ukuthi awubhalansile, abantu bayalimala belinyazwa yini ungabi balance when it comes to imithetho ebekelwa abantu. We are living in a country ekwi-democracy. I respect umthetho and ngiyawuhlezi ngulandela umthetho, kodwa nginesicelo sokuthi ugovernment wethu makube khona akwenzayo kwenzela ukuthi wonke umuntu ezoba nolwazi ngomthetho and sikwazi ukuthi kumele siphile ngeyiphi indlela, siwuthobele kanjani umthetho. Sizowuthobela kanjani umthetho mangabe khona izinto esingakwazi ukuthi sifinyelele kuzona? Sizowuthobela kanjani umthetho into osingazange sitshelwe ngayo? Siyadinga ukuthi saziswe ngezinto eziningi, siyadinga ukuthi sithole ulwazi ngazo zonke izinto ukuze sizokwazi ukuthi sigweme izinto ekumele sizigweme. Ngiyacela ukuthi kube khona ushintsho eSouth Africa. Ngiyacela ukuthi kube khona ushintsho emhlabeni. Sila emhlabeni to make a turnaround. Sila emhlabeni to accomplish or to fulfill icebo laNkulunkulu ngempilo zethu, not ukuthi sizochitha noba sizolimaza abanye abantu, kodwa uNkulunkulu usilethele emhlabeni for his divine purpose. Therefore, in order to fulfill ipurpose kaNkulunkulu, kumele ama-decision nama-judgment ayenziwayo kube ama-judgment a-right, kungabi ama-judgment a-bias noba kube ama-judgment othola ukuthi athathwe ngenxa yokuthi kukhona ubufakazi obungaphelele kwaziwe elinye isayidi langaziwa. So ngiyacela ukuthi South Africa nabantu abanamandla ekushintsheni kwemthetho nasekwenzeni izinto benze umehluko omusha, nomehluko ozokwenza ukuthi sikufile inkululeko, sikwazi ukuthi siphile impilo njengabantu silingane sonke. Ngiyabonga.